We're getting here into draft. I'm really excited to see with WE having first pick already.
All right, WE starting off red side with first pick and going to snap up Ezreal first thing first, looking for a little bit of safety in a bot lane against 1xN and missing.
All right, and we'll see. Nocturne banned away here by WE. This is something we haven't seen too many, either of these teams really prioritize, but it's starting to rise amongst all of our teams. Lucian, Annie immediately. I love how fast we're kind of burning through these pick bans. And Annie, I mean, BuLLDog, some of his best performances have really been setting up Croco, so I already like that we're seeing some of this change in playstyle come through.
Yeah, definitely. And, yeah, I mean, this has been the most played for about throughout the season, the Ezreal. With the Annie already locked in, the Annie-Lee Sin, a duo we've started to see a lot more of lately, kind of a new age Vi Talia combo. It's just really reliable to get that CC, get that burst damage out of the Lee Sin, find kills onto your opponent. Karis gets onto his Akali, though. Consistently been one of the most banned champions against WE. Slips through nice and early here in a matchup that's not too shabby up against the Annie. And speak of the devil, the Vi going to get locked in here as well.
Okay, so we're going to see a Lucian Melio. They really want to play for the 2v2. That was last time we saw this matchup. 1xN and missing really put the screws onto about an Erha. So as we get further into this draft, I think right now for WE, probably a roaming support is what they are going to be looking for. If not, maybe the Seraphine to ease some of those laning troubles. But Akali plus Vi, to me, just sounds like we're going to go hunting. We're Goodwill hunting in the side lanes. Is there an Annie there? Cool. Let's pick up 300 gold. Let's try to play these really explosive team fights around objectives.
It's going to be the goal, looking to stack up nice and early, get this Akali rolling, abuse the power that she's going to bring with the ultimate to be able to burst out some of these squishy members, which is the only thing that LNG is bringing to the table so far. They're going to suffer a few more bans in the jungle direction. Looking to default to the Wukong as a nice little bit of team fighting power. Going to combo nicely with the Annie. This is going to put a lot into the hands of 1xN, but he is comfortable and familiar with that situation.
Oh, I think Wukong can be a little slow this game, but with the buffs that this champion received on 2610, this champion's actually started to really rise back into priority. We're seeing it globally start to come back into the meta, especially with some of our other junglers getting tapped down. WE, Gordo, when I see this kind of game, when you have a Scion that's going to be standing in front of an Annie, in front of a Lucian, I start to get a little bit worried. I start to think, okay, are we going to be able to really burst through this kind of tank? And with Vi being able to lock down any champion that she wants, bypassing the Melio, I think that WE have a much more convincing team fight in my mind, whereas LNG kind of need to be off the ground running very, very early.
Both top laners getting their most picked champions throughout the season to round out the drafts. Going to be bringing a lot of comfort to the table for both of these teams to start things off. I think BuLLDog has really kind of embraced the Annie as it started to become a little bit more of a meta pick. Not going to have the classic Lee Sin duo with it, but I think that Wukong can be in very much the same category and bring you a lot more of that additional team fighting power. A lot of damage going to have to be coming from 1xN here, but we saw those laning stats. LNG are coming into this matchup anticipating that they will be able to outperform about an Erha in the laning phase. And a little bit of a mismatched duo, I feel, with the Ezreal and the Nami. You don't really see the Nami paired up along with him too frequently.
Yeah, it's definitely focused on just trying to burst out a lot heavier and try to match the Lucian in lane. We'll see. We've also seen Doran's bow get buffed on this patch, so a lot more AD carries are just willing to take Debo immediately, and Lethal Tempo already started. I think Ezreal could be a very, very strong duelist early. I mean, just Lethal Tempo plus his passive is already a lot of attack speed early. Now with Debo on top, maybe he might even win out on some matchups that previously were not in his favor as much.
Oh, find out if that is going to pay on off for him. As we get on to Summoner's Rift, game number 1 of the first best of 5 of split number 2. Group Ascend status on the line.
I'm so sad, Gordo. We're online for the play-ins. It was supposed to be in the Shenzhen Arena, so no Gyos. It was a little bit tough for some of our Nirvana teams to get some Gyos, so maybe we're going to be expecting too many, but still, a play-ins game is a play-ins game. And very early on, Gordo, an expectation I want to set now, because top laners are going to be top laners, are going to be on their island. I really want to see Sheer have a big impact in this series, because I think on his Gnar last time, he did a whole lot of nothing. And that has been, I think, a big complaint I've had about him in his progression as a player here in the league.
Definitely going to be in a solid lane matchup for himself here in this game. Number 1 has an opportunity to make a difference. Summoner spells being exchanged in the bottom lane as a level 1 trade, where a lot of this early laning phase is going to be staked. Exhaust out of about, and a barrier heal combo out of 1xN and Missing will leave 1xN and Missing with the slightly better health bars, but this level 2 is going to get hit by about an Erha first.
They already have the wave underneath the turret. Oh my god, we're just shifting forward? And 1xN's like, you're not allowed to do that. You're going to get a Light Slinger passive. You're going to pay a little bit more respect to me in my bot lane. And junglers aren't going to be here quite yet. I'm interested to see what Monki has done, because he went Raptors red into Krugs. So is he going to go for a recall? Yes, he's going to just try to say, okay, if Wukong meets me at my blue side jungle, I'm going to be incredibly strong. Maybe he just tries to go for a modified clear where he does some of his camps on bot side and then looks mid, trying to cut out around the scuttle. I think it's really important for Monki this early, especially against an Annie, to just try to make her uncomfortable versus the Akali.
Yeah, and Monki being able to outperform Croco, I think, was the big decider in the first time these teams met earlier this year that ended up with WE and Ascend and LNG back in Nirvana. The fact that, you know, that big Kha'Zix counter pick in game number 4 did not end up paying off and did very much the opposite, was a huge liability for LNG. Got to be weighing on these players' minds a little bit here, and this is going to be a jungle matchup to keep an eye on throughout the whole night.
It paid off for my WE fans, okay? It really paid off. Thank you, Croco, for the Kha'Zix donation. We'll take that in still. We'll also try to see if we can pay it forward here tonight in this best of 5. But he's going to be late, so he now finishes his Gromp. They spot him on bot side, and he already has a Ruby Crystal. They're not going to even fight. Bot lane has priority. Instead, Monkey's going to cross. They're going to see him through mid here. Karis is... His conditions aren't amazing. I think he wants to try to find a recall probably on the next wave.
Yeah, I mean, Monki will give him one little punch, see if that ends up making a difference. I do not think that it will. And it does look like the recall is going to come from about an Erha first, so 1xN and Missing going to be able to crash this wave, maybe even cost him a minion or two. They're going to have the greater gold on their reset as well, so nice little start from LNG, able to recover from what maybe looked a little messy from the first couple of levels with that exchange of summoner spells. Getting their reset off now and going to be coming back with the extra sword.
Alright, and he has to cover topside. I mean, not only are his camps up here, but this is a Gnar. Once Cube gets level 6, I imagine that there's going to be maybe a look up here, especially as Vi is just so easy to gank this champion. And with the general kind of mobility that is available to this bottom lanes, I do think that we're going to see more presence of our junglers in our solo lanes than maybe we're used to in other games. So, respect to Karis, man. He is surviving a hell of a lot of poke thanks to this D-shield.
Yep. Taking a fair chunk of damage. That was a bold shuriken flip back into the face of the wave, but gonna be just fine for it. Meanwhile, a nice trade found by 1xN onto about in this bottom lane. Gonna take him for about half of what he's worth. Karis does finally take that recall, gets a null magic mantle and a book, and will be returning to lane. That recall gonna come through for BuLLDog as well, and 1xN Missing, starting to try to play aggressively in this bottom lane, and it is serving them well.
Wukong's making some pings. Maybe we get active this early, but this dot brush is going to give a lot of vision thanks to the Phalite. If Wukong even walks, I mean, it's a 4-second duration on the clone, so you have a lot of skirmishing that is available to you. Maybe they just want to go for an invade, maybe open up with an early dragon here. As long as they can force about underneath his turret, and especially as this Ezreal, your wave clear isn't very strong, and if you're hitting under turret, I think you weaken your position here in the game very early. So another reset coming in for about more gold going over to 1xN. That's kind of the LNG game strategy almost every single time.
So, again, 1xN finding himself at that advantage. Hasn't even taken his second recall yet. Still going to be feeling very good about his itemization. That's an ultimate out of BuLLDog in mid lane. Just going to look to keep Karis on the back foot, keep Karis low. force him to play respectful. The first dragon is up and available, and Monki actually wants to start this one up. Karis is low, but About is fresh off his reset. 1xN has not done the same, but he's got basically full resources. Let's see if Croco's going to get over here and do something.
He's going to have to jump over the wall. Let's see it.
Got in there. He is invisible.
Oh!
He makes the steal, flashes back over the wall. Croco strikes first, claims that dragon.
I'll take that trade any day of the week. I'll say, look, I'll use my Wukong clone. I'll flash back over the wall. You leashed it for me. I barely lose any time. And guess what? We're even going to see you do your Raptors here. Great start here for LNG. You're already winning on bottom side. And what was supposed to be a cheeky timer for WE to get an objective, I think just completely backfires on them. And if he gets this scuttle on top side, I'm even more depressed as a jungler.
Monki looking for mid instead, but this dangerous territory. Meanwhile, bot lane fight breaking out here. 1xN has the level 6 while About does not. And here's Croco getting on top of the enemy jungler and just ripping him apart thanks to the CC from BuLLDog. First blood to Croco, and he's going to claim this scuttler as well.
And now what the cause of an effect of all of these things happening is going to be Croco's going to start to get a lead. He's going to be about a camp, maybe 2 over Monki. This bottom lane, because the LNG are finding success here, it means that they can start to move their vision line up and start to see, okay, his Gromp isn't ready. Maybe we can invade for wolves. We already have access from mid lane. And these advantages are just going to continue to mount. It's 1,000 gold lead, and it's not like any one of these lanes has a massive lead outside of bottom lane. It's these small advantages that I think LNG are going to continue to cut away at WE until there's basically nothing left. And we have grub spawning in 30 seconds.
Indeed we do. That is going to give you a nice little bit of side pressure. If you're LNG, I think you especially appreciate that. You're going to have the Gnar on the side lane for a lot of this game. Likely going to end up matched up against the Akali, not too infrequently as well. Karis going to play that role to some degree or another. But that is an opportunity to play around a opposing side of the map. The thing for WE, though, is, yeah, Cube obviously kind of weak-sided this game, not in the best matchup, gets a little bit counterpicked with the Gnar, and will he be able to show up and represent for these grubs? Doesn't even matter, because mid lane priority picked up by Karis. I'm just going to walk over, throw some kunai, and make sure that Monki's going to be able to secure this no problem.
I think we got to see that they were immediately going to go for this objective as soon as when Missing comes back out of the map after his recall, he just walks mid and he goes towards the bottom side. They're going to take 3 camps potentially, and also look at where About is. He's standing next to his tier 2 here. They're going to let Sion finish the grubs, maybe give him some more Soul Furnace procs, and they're going to try to defend this bottom side jungle. If LNG were able to grab this and get all of these turret plates and gold away from About, that would have been even worse. So I like this adaptation coming in from WE.
Yeah, really, really tough for About here. Missing multiple waves of CS now to the 1xN missing bottom lane. And the supports weren't even present for a little bit. Now that they are, the extra boost of damage to this Lucian. Going to continue to cut away at Ezreal's health bar. About continues to find himself in dangerous territory as Croco is hovering in the river for what could be a potential dive.
Set's going to pivot off, and I just love what LNG has done here in this first game. The reason and kind of some of the spots that we found WE getting themselves in their first series against this team, calling doesn't do anything, it's just a glancing blow, is Monki broke the game early. He got into bot lane and was able to kind of flip the game very early, and they were able to grab a lot of kills for About there. And Monki was just generally really unpredictable. They've placed so much vision in WE's jungle that it's made it impossible for Monki to not get spotted and for them to track him perfectly. So good job of being able to maintain this. Now I need to see LNG push the pedal. I need to see them push for even more. Can we get the second dragon of the game? Can we maybe take down a turret now later on? What else can we get with this lead?
Push further and further, play through this Lucian as they drafted for. Maybe up a little bit far here is Missing, but he gets the recall off. True Shot Barrage comes out. That's too little too late. About's going to hit the wave with it and just try to get the push going a little bit faster. But LNG do get away with their recall, and that's Essence Reaver done for this Lucian. Looking very strong in this upcoming Dragon spawn. Big opportunity to go up 2-0 in that department for LNG here.
Oh, and then look at the recall from about Phage. Nada. Just pure depression at this point. No ranch sauce, nothing. Not even Cool Ranch Doritos. Just pure depression here. You get nothing, and you get to starve as well. So LNG, they're very much in favor for this. They get to pull the trigger whenever they want with this Annie. And we'll need to see whether or not WE actually have enough damage behind them, considering this is a Merc Treads first, Hextech Alternator, a Collie, and not even a completed first item for the Vi.
Definitely, they start up this first dragon, or at least are looking to do so. Second dragon, rather. Croco making his way over towards the river. And it is a recall from Monki, fresh after having placed down a couple of wards. They're not going to try to be too eager with it here, though. Instead, Croco going to pay another look here over towards About and Erha.
Ooh.
Summoners are back up here. This is a tough gank to make happen. They're going to just move over to the river and look at this dragon.
I'm looking at BuLLDog. He's a little over a level. He's about like a quarter of a level over Karis right now, but he has Flash, and Flash Tippers, that's essentially a death sentence there. Does Sheer look to TP? Because Cube doesn't have that to match, but would have to ult. And with Sheer pushing him underneath his turret, it looks like it's going to be another situation where we're probably going to see a 4-on-5. Dragon's being started.
Here. A little bit choked out of the river here, our LNG trying to get their way in. Cube doesn't have the TP, so I don't think he's going to be joining this one. Sheer does. Sheer's going to be getting right on over here. Comes in, Meganar immediately shifts back to Mini, so not going to have that ultimate available, but I don't think it matters. The numbers advantage might just be too much. Going for the steal, True Shot Barrage, stole the dragon. Monki gets in, gets out with a smooth cease and desist. And WE, heist completed. They get it and lose nobody.
All right, this wasn't true for the Grubs, so we won't have it for every single objective. But if you start the Dragon, your team is not going to see it. That is the trend that we are seeing here already here in this series. What is going on? Why are we letting Dragons get stole by Ezreal? I guess we don't have our upgraded jungle pets.
Croco's good for one clean smite in the first 13 minutes, all right? He used it to steal the first dragon. You can't ask for too much. In this early into the game, this early into the series. He's still warming up. Now Monki going to challenge him over his own blue buff. This might be a non-smite fight, as neither party has the smite available. Monki will successfully get the steal. BuLLDog not going to be able to make the collapse, and
wow.
WE, another cheeky timer, get another playoff.
All right, so everybody, we get to revel in how did Ezreal steal this? Because he throws out a Mystic Shot, that misses. We know you were saying the Arcane True Shot Barrage. It's a Q at 70 HP. Oh! I love Group Nirvana, boys. I love Group Nirvana versus Ascend. Only here could you see this.
That's so crazy. I mean, I was really curious how the True Shot Barrage did that when he fired it at such a high HP total. I guess I'm thankful that wasn't a random 2,000 damage True Shot Barrage, and Ezreal didn't get over-buffed while I wasn't paying attention, but oh boy, I mean, that's a hell of an ability to lose a major objective to. LNG going to be kicking themselves for that one a little bit, but still comfortable with their position in this early game. 1xN still at a nice little lead, not quite as big as it was earlier on, and have rotated them over to mid. They will continue to try to use this Lucian-Melio duo as a point of power.
Right now, we're getting a lot of important items here for WE. Monki had actually finished his Sundered Sky before Croco did, and also had his upgraded Smite. That is no longer the case now between our two junglers. They are both matching. But Karis now has the Hextech Gunblade. We also see the Imperial Mandate here for Erha. This Ezreal is going to be super strong, and he's going to be having Muramana coming up soon. So I would imagine the next 8 minutes is really where WE are going to feel the height of their strength for the current time being. And I want to see if LNG have any real responses, because if we're just going to have Sheer into Cube for the rest of the game, I mean, where's our side laning pressure? We wanted to see LNG take good and strong team fights as a 5-on-5.
Sheer did just finally finish his Trinity Force, so he'll have a little bit more power there, but I mean, it might cost them this Rift Herald, not Sheer in particular, but the fact that LNG are not able to get into this top river and really make a contest happen, and the fact that Cube's here and Sheer isn't, certainly not helping things. So now
Wow.
BuLLDog finds himself in a little bit of a vulnerable position. The Rift Herald getting thrown down. And here it comes Cube as well. It's a 3-person collapse. Cease and Desist comes on out, holding BuLLDog at bay. He's going to get the double stun off the Tibbers. Now trying to kite back away. Turret aggro going to be taken up by Cube. Another double stun found by BuLLDog. He keeps this as long as he can. But at the end of the day, 3 members of WE will work through that health bar. But what are they giving up for it? Sheer's hitting turrets, so is 1XN.
Probably is just going to be a 1-for-1 trade in terms of turrets. It is 3 grubs over to WE. And that's all gold into Karis' pockets. He is up 1,300 gold. He's going to get another wave on top side here. And this was the game strategy we said from the draft. When there's an Annie in the game and you have this Akali, just hunt her inside lanes. She'll have flash coming up for the dragon that spawns in a minute's time. But I think this was a really smart, proactive play coming in from WE's top side to get things done.
Now 50 seconds to go on this next dragon. This is where LNG really need to show up and abuse some of this skirmishing power that they've got for themselves. The combo of BuLLDog and Croco gonna be huge for them here, and really want to try to push this Lucian up to the next level. 1XN, you know he's going to mechanically execute on these fights very well, but his lead over a bout has not continued to extend. It's been a really nice recovery from the WE bottom side, and if they can rock up and win out another dragon fight, they're going to be in a very, very smooth sailing position for the rest of this game number 1.
This is Navori Flickerblade's Essence Reaver Lucian before the Muramana. This kind of has to be where 1XN smurfs this fighter. LNG are able to leverage his strength now, because if they don't win this next dragon, Gordo, I feel very strongly that WE are going to keep finding themselves in good spots as this game goes on. I mean, second item's going to be done for Karis once we get to kind of that point in the game a little bit later. And you don't have the strongest front line. So this Nami is also just putting in double time with the amount of healing that she has.
Cube coming on up here through the jungle is spotted, and the call seems to be for Sheer to abandon this top lane right away. TPing his way on in is at a nice level of rage. 1XN going to open up with the Cullen, going to get hit by Cube's unstoppable onslaught, forced to flash back away, and no engage found by the rest of LNG. A huge resource blown from this Lucian before the fight even kicks off.
And there's no heal, but now there's no flash or barrier for 1XN. There's also a TP coming in from Akali. She came in with a flank, so LNG now have to just scuttle themselves into the mid wave. Maybe they could try to look for more. No, they're going to go answer sides. WE are going to get themselves their second dragon, and it looks like Akali's also going to get another wave on this bottom side.
Swing and a miss there for LNG. 1XN, I guess, just positions himself up too far, or doesn't expect to get hit by that unstoppable onslaught, but it's a big loss for them right at the start, and the call from that point is, doesn't matter that we have this Wukong Annie combo. We can't do it. We can't get in there. We're not going to be able to lock down the Ezreal. We're not going to be able to go band for band with a bout. We're not going to be able to finish him, and he's going to end up winning out in the team fight. So second dragon to WE, bot lane turret to WE, and this lead's going to balloon up to nearly 2,000.
Gordo, do you still think it was a fluke? I know it's only game 1, but you still think it was a fluke last time?
Listen, last time, I'm not changing those opinions retroactively. Right now, it's looking like a split and group ascend has gotten WE a little bit faster on the macro play. They're just the first ones to these plays. They're better set up for these plays, and it's putting them in a strong position to win game number 1.
You need to see them move. If you're LNG, you got to start moving. You got to start shaking. Do something around the map. I think BuLLDog is starting to get pulled every which way. Like, he can't be on side lane by himself, so he kind of has to play with Melio, but are you ever really getting any kind of stuns off onto a bout? I think you're really hard-pressed to find anything onto an Ezreal, so they're not finding any ability to open up on any side lane right now. Gnar is split pushing, but he's getting turrets, and that's gold into Gnar, but that's not anything for the rest of the team. I need to see LNG somehow pull someone from another lane.
Nice little trade coming through from 1XN once again. Finds an opening to be able to get onto a bout. Comes out slightly ahead on the trade, and, you know, good for you, buddy, but that's not going to be enough in and of itself. We need to see Croco start to do something a little bit more proactive. He's kind of just been letting the game come to him this game, and yeah, that got him the 1 kill on a Monki off the face check, but since then, he and BuLLDog have not been able to combine together as a mid-jungle duo to get these plays started when they have such easy go buttons.
Thanks to these side lane matchups, I mean, who is matching Akali in this game? Is it going to be Sheer? Well, I'm looking at his items, and you can stop me if I'm blind. I do have contacts in. I see no magic resist. And for BuLLDog, similarly, actually, he instead decided to invest for the tier 3 lucidity boots. So you'll have extra damage if he's dealing it, but I think Karis is going to be essentially the man of the match. And that was the same thing we saw in their last series when we saw them in the play-ins. It was Karis really taking BuLLDog to task, and it was basically BuLLDog, or it was Karis versus 1xN. And a lot of the times, we saw the mid laner of WE win that.
Oh, definitely.
What?
Oh, another ultimate connects from Cube. 1xN left in no man's land. They'll be finished off by Karis, missing, sectioned off on the opposite side. Karis comes back through with the perfect execution to make it a double kill. And WE, with a 3-for-0 team fight, are going to rip this Baron at 21:30.
I don't even really want to blame 1xN. You're saying my jungler is taking the Rift Scuttle in front of me. Surely there's not a Scion in the Banana Brush. Oh wow, there's a Scion in the Banana Brush. I guess I just die now. So Baron goes over to WE, and this is a minute and a half before the next dragon. Gordo, we're seeing WE absolutely out-execute, and it's this top side. How does he sneak in? Oh my god.
Crazy.
This
Going
vision
into
toggle.
the inside.
And look at the vision. They don't even see him walk in at the very last moment.
That's tough. That's tough for 1xN. And that's the critical target right away. Karis on his best champion, the Akali, having a hell of a game number 1, fulfilling his promises, and once again, WE finding themselves up nearly 5K here. This is well ahead of schedule for them to be advantaged in the game. I think they're in such a dominant position here for game number 1.
We're looking at comfort. You mentioned for Karis, one of the most banned champions we see against WE. I mean, Cube gets his most played throughout this year. About gets his Ezreal. Also Nami for Erha, his most played this year so far. So a lot of comfort champions that they have a lot of experience on. And obviously they played a lot more games. Okay.
All right, here's Croco finally pulling the trigger, but there's no BuLLDog behind him. TP was still channeling. There's no stun to be had. There's no follow-up. That's Croco's flash and ultimate, blown for nothing. And Karis is just running amok in the bottom lane.
And we just get to continue using our Baron. I think LNG are extremely desperate at this point. I mean, they're down to 5,000 gold, but there's no Dragon Soul that we're going to be threatened with for at least another 6 minutes. They lose 2 turrets for all of this now. Now it is every single member of WE with a gold lead here. And really, I think the solo lanes, rightly described here by our kind of banner. Cube and Karis, 2 players that honestly this year were not super exciting prospects, but are showing up when it kind of matters in these best of 5s.
Absolutely are. Karis on the Akali, I think has never really been in a doubt. This has been a champion that has been drawing bans all season long for WE, and they're showing why here. And you know what? This is a team as well that has never been able to find advantages in the early game, even when they were really showing, I think, better results in split number 1. They were playing against weaker competition, but they were showing better results in split number 1. The meme was that this is the team that went down 1,000 gold in the early game and then managed to come back and win. Now this season, they've gone down 1,000 gold in the early game and then they don't win. This game has not been either of those stories. They have been able to come up way, way better on the WE end and find a winning early game against LNG.
Shout out our producer for deciding we want to flame LNG. Oh, Karis maybe goes down.
Karis able to perfect execution over the wall, but one more Incinerate will do it. Shut down gold over to BuLLDog to give the slightest bit of relief, but it's going to cost him an inner turret in mid.
And the shutdown is nice. That's 800 gold. Still was a dragon going over to WE, and the Baron will just now kind of tick over. So, good find. But honestly, Gordo, I think a little too late. I feel like if we had seen that maybe 5 to 8 minutes beforehand, we'd be singing more of the praises of LNG, and we'd feel much more confident about their ability in this game.
Very possibly. You gotta... Listen, it's too early in the series to be flashing back to a couple months ago, but your LNG, it might be a little bit here. You do not want this to happen to you again. Of course, this is a post-Fearless world. WE losing a lot of counter picks out in this game number 1. A lot of comfort picks, rather, in this game number 1. You can lean back on that, but you certainly would have hoped to be able to build up a bigger lead for 1xN this game, to be able to have Croco and BuLLDog combine on what should be a very easy to execute combination. WE have been running circles around them here. I think really well played by Cube and Monki to be able to find the flanks that they have found.
All right, LNG, you've got 3 items. We have 3 items on 1xN. We've got, Gordo, you and I were talking about this. We have the Proto Belt on the Annie, so the flash won't be up for a little bit, but Proto Belt can be a fake flash. It can be a mini flash, and you got the Seekers. This kind of has to be the moment in the game that we actually see you do anything, because you are on the precipice of losing game number 1 here of this series, and I'm looking across. Zoni is completed for Karis, GA is done for Monki. You also have a Spear of Shojin, so that's 450 HP that you now have to get over additionally on this Ezreal, and a Mikhail's here for Erha. All of the things are starting to line up that WE are going to be nigh untouchable coming soon. Well,
there's your belt, Alk. Perhaps not intended for wave clear, perhaps intended to threaten an engage onto a grouped up 3 members of WE, but Tibbers did not come out, so going to just be sitting here continuing to try to wave clear. The Baron has dropped on off, of course. A minute to go until it's going to be up and available again. But WE do not want to relent on this siege. This is the last inner turret still standing, and they have been able to siege with impunity pretty much because these engages just have not been coming together for LNG. And WE say, until you show me that you're going to do it, we're going to continue this siege as long as you let us.
Right now, WE have put all of their vision on the top side. Baron doesn't spawn for another 30 seconds here. We've got the Soul that spawns in a minute and a half, 90 seconds away. I mean, you can just eventually move all this vision. You now know that all of their camps are down or that they're going to be respawning soon. I like this for Monki. Go to the side lanes, help Akali fix mid wave, we'll fix bottom lane, and then we get to Fog, go back to base, and then we'll show up for this Dragon. This is going to be the fight of the game that basically decides whether or not we're going to game 2 or if maybe we got a little bit more room for some more action on the Rift.
It's going to be the big question. WE up 6,000 gold on the verge of Dragon Soul. We love a Cloud Soul on the LPL English broadcast, especially with this kind of composition. Will serve greatly the Ezreal, will be great for the Akali. Makes Karis at about even more slippery, even more difficult to pin down. And that's already going to be a difficulty for this LNG team composition, so you do not want to let that one through. 25 seconds to go. The battle over the mid wave starts now.
Looking at the mini-map, there is no vision past their jungle right now. Like, you can see right here for LNG, the only wards that they have are in front of the Raptor Pit. That's going to get cleared. A vision plant actually spawns on the bottom side, so all of these wards that are in the red jungle of LNG, completely gone. And this is just Karis with 3 grubs. He gets another wave. He's going to maybe show up on this next one. There's actually a flank. Maybe they catch Sheer, but it's Sheer Croco on this side. And WE are trying to find a flank.
They're going to go for it. Monki goes for the flash Q, can't find it, but gets cease and desist on top of 1xN. All the healing, all the shielding, not enough. 1xN is the first to drop in the fight. Incinerate over the wall, be able to take one back into the Guardian Angel, but this fight is already looking WE favored. Sheer is pushed back in the mega form, not fast enough in this big shape, and will not be able to get on out of here. One more punch attempt from Monki, not quite going to be able to connect, but Sheer is now going to be the next target, this time in mini form, shot down by a bout, and WE will go up 3-4-0 in the team fight and look to break the base.
Some said it was history, some said it was coincidence, but WE yet again up against LNG. They'll win game number 1 and off the back of this mid and bot duo.
To finish this one off. BuLLDog going to get locked on down, going to be able to flash back away. Monki going to be able to try to chase him back underneath the base. Culling opened on up. 1xN has respawned. They think they can make a stand here. Dashing forward. On top of him is Karis. Dude. Karis finds the execution, and he will send 1xN packing. Croco and Missing going to try to make one more stand. BuLLDog on the recall. Karis will be the one to close out game number 1. WE make it look not even close.
That camera angle might look weird, but they did not show, or was, you know, there's a lot of chaos going on. BuLLDog TP'd to the Raptor Pit because they thought they were going to chase them out of the base. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. We're losing the fight. BuLLDog, you might have to recall. And he's like, well, I'm already in Narnia, brother. So I'll see you guys in the next game.
Indeed he will, as WE come out with a vengeance here. This has been a rough season for them all around, but coming in against a Nirvana team, even LNG, they look clean, calm, and collected. They are a step ahead for the vast majority of the early and mid game, and it catapults them to a pretty clean game number 1 win.
Yeah. There was some mistakes, right? Like 1xN and missing. Their lane is still really, really good. And we didn't actually get to see some of the mistakes that About has made throughout the regular season. There was plenty of games that they actually could have won, whether that was pre or post their first couple of game wins, that could have been even more if our rookie AD carry had not stepped too far up in certain positions. So I'm interested to see how much more of an evolution we will see from both of these teams in this best of 5.
Yeah, really, really good stuff here to start off for Team WE. And I mean, listen, it was his best champion, but I was really impressed by Karis in particular. He comes on out and looks like the Karis that was able to beat down BuLLDog the first time around, and a lot less like the Karis that has struggled against the best mid laners in the world all split long. About coming up with pretty big damage numbers here as well, going to be able to beat on out 1xN, and will come on up in contention for a potential player of the game as well. Who would you throw this one towards, Alk?
Karis doing 10.5 thousand damage is so fake. Like this is the highest impact low damage Akali I've seen in a very long time. Like, yeah, Karis has the big damage in terms of numbers, but in terms of actual impact, I think Karis absolutely won them this game.
Really good stuff here. 100% KP for Croco at least, but yeah, definitely not going to be the gameplay you were hoping for from this Wukong. And yeah, this was, I mean, the one play that LNG were able to make all game, and they kind of needed it to come to them. Proactivity-wise, they leave a lot to be desired here to start off this series, and instead it was really WE who were dictating the pace, finding the plays, making everything happen the whole way through.
This was such a dangerous, like, this sneak right here, in my mind, is one of the, like, 3 plays that essentially ended the game. One of them being when they hunted the Annie in topside and they were able to kill her, take the entire top lane turret, and give that gold to Akali. This play especially is kind of one where you're like, oh crap, we actually did not see this Sion. He snuck into such a disgustingly good spot and found our AD carry. This was a really, really tight game, and this is why, despite them being 1-13 in sets, why being in Group Ascend is such a boon. Being able to play so many more games, you just get to have just more access to data and more access to being able to practice a lot of repetition.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see it's paid off for him. It's against really tough opponents as well, right? If you are behind on these moves, if you are not the first person to show up to the objective, if you are not that little bit of extra second ahead of the play, then you're going to pay for it. And WE, perhaps more than anybody this split, has learned how to pay for it. Now getting to put the shoe on the other foot and punish another team who maybe isn't quite ready, doesn't have those reps, and doesn't have that level of competition.
It's so crazy, too, by the way, because ThunderTalk were actually playing in Group Ascend last year. And when I mention ThunderTalk, I'm specifically referencing 1xN. He played against so many of these same teams just last year. And so we keep looking to him to be a big carry. But where's the rest of our team, right? So this is only the start. It is a best of 5. We could go on, and this could just be a gentleman's sweep from here on out. LNG just win 3 games in a row. We're like, oh, you know, like, we were never worried. No Kappa. But it's still pretty, it's a tough look, I think, for LNG.
No, yeah, I mean, number 1 rule right now is just do not think about the previous split. Cube! I mean, he landed some unstoppable onslaughts onto 1xN. You can't say that he didn't.
I will never take that away from him. And he did play a mean Scion. And so, great job, buddy. I think it literally was just the Bush play. The Bush play entirely just turned him an MVP.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a great Bush play. He also just, like, he got his driver's license this game for sure. Like he steered that one into 1xN in the mid lane as well.
Yeah.
So you know what? That won him 2 pretty critical fights. If there was ever a chance for LNG to turn this game back through superior team fighting, it would have been those plays. 7 of 8 votes. They love Cube on the LPL broadcast. Let me tell you.
Wow. It was a good play. It was a very good play. So, I'll give him that. And who knows? Maybe there's more Cube MVP votes coming on through. Still a lot of games left to play here in this best of 5.
LNG are certainly hoping so. We are going to throw it to a quick break here while we get into draft for game number 2. But if you want to support LPL English, consider becoming a Coffee member. Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, since the vast majority of your donations go towards upgrading the broadcast as well as paying content creators and on-air talent. You can subscribe to the Coffee, link to the chat. You get perks as well, like early access to content like the LPL English podcast and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews. Thank you to everybody who contributes, and if you think you could, always appreciate anybody who wants to join. We'll be back after a quick break for game number 2. We'll see you there.